And thanks for staying with us. Now, 2 months into his first term, Memphis Mayor Paul Young is taking on unique ways to curb crime, including a meeting with rival gang members. Here's ABC24's Leah Williams, and we'll talk about it on the other side.
When it comes to curbing crime, Mayor Paul Young says conversations about potential solutions need to include the entire community.
We engage the subjects of our conversation. That it's not just us in a room in our great positions and our good-looking suits, nice blouses.
With the help of youth intervention group 901 Block Squad, Mayor Young says he sat down with some of the city's highest-ranking gang members a few weeks ago.
It was raw, uncut, and I wanted it to be.
Asking for gangs to increase the peace.
Just 7 days where there's no shooting, no killing.
Mayor Young says gang leaders made a few requests of their own, seeking promises other gangs would also put their guns down, and asking the mayor's team for more neighborhood investments and job options for young people.
They said, we don't have programs at our community centers, we don't have things to do, so we go out, we steal cars, and we ride around with our friends.
One Memphian told ABC24 he supports the initiative, but admits the city can only do so much to keep kids on the right track.
Everything just can't be done overnight. It starts at home, with disciplining your children.
And Tawan, we'll start with you. Kind of a unique approach. What's your thoughts about the mayor having this meeting? I know the 901 Block Squad kind of helped coordinate this.
Well, I'm living in reality and not necessarily a 60-minute sitcom or drama series. But I think Mayor Young was attempting to address something that's going on with we've had several rap leaders in Memphis to die here. And I'm not saying the rappers were part of gangs, but I am saying that there are some gang members who follow certain rappers. And if this will calm those seas and get people to calm down and let police handle the investigations of those murders, great. You don't need to take it into your own hands. But I also think the mayor has a responsibility to the citizens to let them know, the gang members and everybody else, this city will not tolerate lawlessness. We won't tolerate it. And we have used resources from citizens to put more police on the streets, to try to give incentives to children for summer youth activities and year-round activities, and we will do more, but we still will not tolerate lawlessness.
And Catherine, maybe previous mayors had done similar meetings. Maybe it just wasn't publicly brought up at a forum like Mayor Young did right there. But what does this say about Mayor Young's maybe different approaches, different tactics on this?
Yeah, I think this may not be as wildly unconventional as some people think it is. Mayor Strickland did meet with gang members. What he did not necessarily do, to my, as well as I can recollect, is come out and tell everybody he did. So I do think this is Mayor Young really trying to communicate with everybody about what he's doing, trying to communicate directly to everybody. And it really falls in line with a lot of research. There's research that shows that to combat crime, you go to the people, the very small percent of people who are actually engaged in the crime. And that's what Paul Young is doing.
And you heard about it, Tawan, in that piece, Mayor Young talking about kind of doing things differently. He's talked a lot about a holistic approach to fighting crime. How do you think this specifically kind of plays into that overall?
Oh, I really think it does, because you need to feel as if you've listened to every constituent level. And as much as I like to dismiss them, you cannot. They are still citizens, and so you need to hear from them. And then draw a plan that includes some of the things you heard from them as well as other citizens. And I really want to give Mayor Young a chance here, because he is really trying to build a plan that is holistic when it's working with children in pre-K, summer school, as well as after school. However, that gentleman on that TV station that you interviewed is right. A lot of this is parenting. And somehow we have to have programs designed to help train parents. Know where your children are, what they're doing, how to engage with them properly. And you may see that in the future too. And I will not, because I think juvenile court is heading that direction.
Catherine, any final thoughts on this?
I hope we see more of this. I hope we hear more about what I understand are expected to be ongoing conversations with gang leaders, and I hope we, see some more 7-day ceasefires and perhaps a lot more than that.
Yeah, and it should be noted that he held that event Monday in Whitehaven, and then on Friday night held a similar event in the Berkeley community. Well, also this week, Mayor Young and the Memphis City Council held a budget retreat ahead of the mayor's formal budget unveil in the spring. Among the top priorities outlined: public safety, youth intervention, and upgrading and cleaning our communities. Well, Catherine, what are your initial thoughts on these priorities? I guess not really surprising, but I'd be curious to know maybe any new money that could be allotted to these topics. What do you you were there at this retreat today?
Yes, I think what struck me about the retreat was that these 5 prime areas are ones Mayor Young identified quite early, and he's sticking by them. But a huge focus of the retreat today was that this is going to be a tough budget season. There's inflation, goods cost more, personnel costs more, and specifically, the city is no longer going to have the use of ARPA dollars, which have brought in millions. So there are some really good programs within these 5 areas that are funded with ARPA dollars, and they're going to have to figure out, do we cut these programs or do we get the money from somewhere else?
And you were a former Memphis City Council member. You know all about budget seasons. But I think part of the reason this was held today, because I believe there's 5 new council members that took over. What do you make of just kind of maybe getting this started a little early, more in the late winter and maybe not in the spring? What do you make of just kind of starting to get the ball rolling, kind of hearing each other out?
Oh, I think it's a good strategy. I think it's a good strategy because all of them are new. A lot of them are new to the job. And if you look at what was happening with the Memphis Visitors Bureau, where they only use 85% of their funds, and that's hotel motel tax money. And if you only need 85% of those funds and you have $27 million on hand, if I were you, Mayor, I would be looking at a budget amendment to bring some of those funds into some services that you need right now. Now that's from a former chair of the Finance Committee. You have to look at where the money is and how it's being used and not used. And then if it's not being used, use it for your citizens.
And Catherine, you were at this retreat Friday. Any other kind of major takeaways? How did you kind of sense like the new members kind of reacting to this? Because it's new mayor, but also new council members. So we'll see. That'll be an interesting dynamic to see this year.
It's a very collaborative vibe. They spent a lot of time on an icebreaker where 2 people paired up and would introduce each other after chatting. And it was just very collaborative to see the mayor's team and the city council members laughing together, having lunch together, getting to know each other, and also getting ready for budget. And I think that could potentially cut off some tensions before they ever begin and create a lot just more harmonious workspace as they engage in budget together.
And Tawan, that comes on the heels of some members expressing in the beginning of this year saying we didn't really have that relationship with the previous administration. Not all, but some had kind of alluded to this. So how do you think that might maybe change the direction for this administration?
When you work in a vacuum, you set up cliques. When you find ways to work together, the council and the mayor's office, maybe they can have shared vision. And I hope it will make for a better budget season. But don't be afraid to cut where you need to cut and move money around for things that are more pressing. Yeah. Because if I had one bureau that was sitting on $27 million and not using it, and I have something over here that's been of value to citizens in neighborhoods, I'm going to get my money.
We'll see if that harmonious vibe carries on into the spring and late spring. So we'll see about that. Well, that's all the time we have for that segment. After the break, we'll update where certain proposed state laws stand and the potential impact for Memphis and Shelby County. Stay with us.